A deep sleep fell upon my eyelids, and that strange, mysterious rest I experienced that was not at all a dream. I hastened to present the result of this last display of power. The flight. Lightly as floats the atom on a sunbeam, swiftly as the bird flies gaily as a laughing child, a spiritual form sailed stilly through the space. Beneath it rolled the globe, its black mountains, deep valleys, and all of its silvery seas above it twinkled in starry shield of heaven. And afar off, on either hand, great suns looked out to see the moving panoply. And still the soul sped on, until at last its earthly home was in the distance, and all around the mighty silence reigned. And still the soul swept onward. No dizziness, no faltering from the awful sense of height alarmed it. No fear beset its bounding, joyous, happy heart. The soul was not my own, for the reason that no man can possibly predicate ownership of a soul, the thinking principle, mind, for the soul is himself. He can speak of and say, my body, limbs, faculties, qualities, and so forth, with correctness and propriety, for these are his incidents, but soul is himself, that of which these incidents obtain. They are, to coin a word, the outsphering of the inner being. The soul was me. In a little while the question, what and why is this, and whither am I going, rose in my mind. A silvery voice breathless silently into my spirit with this response: whoso truly willeth to know shall know, by reasons of relationship between himself and the other two members of the great eternal trine, provided always that the wish is good and its realization would be productive of excellence and use. No bad man can earnestly wish and will good while he is bad. If he does, his failure is certain. Not so with the good and lofty soul. It is always welcome to the banquet of knowledge, nor is the gate of wisdom ever closed to it. The good man can solve all mysteries. The good woman sound the depths of all music, love, and beauty. Thus the saying is literally, perfectly, absolutely true, which affirms that if ye seek first the kingdom of God and his righteousness, all things else shall be added unto you. The voice was that of the fair being whom Thotmore called his own. Previously intended upon observing the rapid changes about me, I did not until that moment realize that both oral spirits attended on this, my third flight. Brother, continued the sweet being, forget not the first lesson, the second thou art now receiving. For a little while, still pondering upon what I had been taught, and still moving forward and upward, I made no mental repose or observation. Soon recurred to me that the phrase used by the female teacher a little time before, and the two other members of the great eternal trine. I longed to know the meaning, and in that instance a clearness of perception, power of conception, and ability of comprehension were given to me, such as I never knew before. I asked mentally how this came about, and the answer came in understanding through the channel of clear intuition, and shaped itself into following form, as nearly as worlds will hold it. The earth is coarse, yet imprisons and refined. It is a dense, gross substance, a heavy, rough body, but it has a soul. The soul of the world is spirit. Every atom of matter has a moving, living, active, spiritual center. The matter enchains the spirit, and the spirit, the principles of beauty, use, goodness, music, odor, tone, sound, rhythm, shape, sympathy, and coherence, constitute the world of soul or spirit. And the spirit ever struggles to free itself from the unwilling thraldom. It can only do so by working up the material of its prison house into forms of excellence, use, beauty, sound, tone, shape, and rhythm. When it does so, it escapes its jail and goes back to God, whence it originally came, through the human organization, and others less perfect, in form of odors, music, tone, sound, beauty, flowers, forests, etc., art, color, and their cognates. A rose is that success in its struggle which attends that amount of the phase of the spirit, working out its liberation from the through the matter by means of its inherent self and principles named. There are two realms, matter filled with spirit, and spirit above beyond, free of material encumbrance, the great spiritual ocean in which all worlds are floating. I realize this tremendous truth. The links of the chain are granite, rock, water, atmosphere, extending out about 150 miles upwards, electrical sea above the air 100 miles, magnetic ocean 100 more. Above that, each remove being as a great in between the first two, the ocean of the electron, and hundreds of miles. The figures are approximative only. Next, an ocean of magnetime, then ether, then ethereal, and then the great ocean of spirit positive. All the rest are cushions, as it were, to this our world. The world's soul is spirit negative, the great ocean is spirit positive. When it floats, rain down from the infinite myriads of existences in the form of monads, each one particle of the soul given off, so to speak, from the great eternal brain. These monads are not spirit negative, such as contained in the constitutes of the soul of the world, of matter in the millions of forms of beasts, birds, reptiles, and vegetation, nor spirit positive, such as constitutes the sea wherein upon the worlds float, and whose finer breath is sphere of disembodied souls. But they are original soul germs of immortal beings. They are the sparks which fell, and fall from God himself, particles of the deific brain, unique, sui generis, unparticled, homogeneous, old as deity, young as the newborn infant, always existed, ever will exist. They are fa souls, or monads.